Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Hi, Dan.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Been a while since you've been on.
Yeah, was that? Was it a couple of months, a few months?
I think it was
Doesn't
like a
feel that
month and
long
a
ago
half
to me,
ago.
to be fair.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So how's
No,
it been
appreciate
going?
you inviting me on again. Good to be back on again.
Yeah, for sure. How is everyone doing? Did anyone trade today? Red or green? Let us know in the chat. What's for lunch, Dan?
What's for lunch? Well, it's 9 p.m. here now,
Hmm,
so
dinner time.
bit late now for me to have lunch. But I had what did I have? Mashed potato, chicken. Give me a bit of energy food for the stream to come. So yeah.
That sounds great. Nice. Penne vodka chicken cutlets. Ooh, that sounds really good.
Ooh.
Chop day, small red. How is everyone? I'm flat, and Dan?
Yeah, I didn't trade today. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of saved my energy today. But I agree with futures with K that it's just been chop city, hasn't it, lately, with all the conflicting news coming out with everything going on at the moment. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dinner, yep. Red, flat as well. Yeah, it's been quite a volatile day, and just looking at it from my lens, it's not the clearest day, but there are a few opportunities for me, but I take more than one trade. So if I can get a loss, it's still okay for me. I can look for another opportunity. Dan, on the other hand, you only take one trade per day. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
Has there ever been a day where you take more than one?
Yeah, I mean, it's in 2026. It has really just been my main focus to
Mm-hmm.
take one trade a day. I was in 2025 sort of experimenting with sort of different sort of trade management, risk management. But for me, round about was it I think early November time in 2025, I just started experimenting with one trade a day. I think I remember saying on social media at the time, it's like my 1 month challenge, just one trade a day sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it not only were the results good, but I just felt so much calmer, just taking one trade a day, less decisions to make. And it's just sort of stuck since. It just sort of works for me. I know every trader is different with how they want to do it. Because I tried taking 2 trades, say, but then if I lost my first trade, I would be incredibly nervous going into my second trade because I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, well, if I win it, great. I mean, I'll just be back to break even. But if I lose it, then I'm going to be double down, double negative for the day. And I
Mm-hmm.
think there was a kind of pressure that I felt not necessary to put on myself. So it was just one trade a day. It just really helped me build discipline because if I can walk away, especially after a loss, right? It's easy to walk away from a win, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get a green trade, close the screen for the day, and be happy with yourself and pleased. But to take a loss and to walk away is like, for me, it was a true test of real discipline, and and it came to a point, where in late 2025, where I was just saying to myself, am I going to take this seriously? Is trading something I'm going to take? Can I take this seriously? And I think for me, that November, when I set myself that one trade a day challenge, it was a test for me. Can I really treat this as a business? Can I really be the person who's going to do what he says he's going to do and take one trade a day? And it just felt completely natural to me. I know it's not the same for every trader, but one trade a day, it's worked well for me. It's felt right to me. It just fits
Mm-hmm.
me perfectly.
And what was behind that decision? Were you over trading? Were you getting burnt?
Yeah, for me, everybody has their triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you find out in your reflections, in your journal entries, what your triggers are. And for me, my trigger for losing was taking a losing trade that maybe was high up in profit, but then would hit my stop loss, and it feel like I left money on the table. The market stolen money away from me, and it just led me into over trading, revenge trading, trying to get it all back. And then once I start doing that, an inner monster just comes from within me, where it's just like, I cannot be wrong. I have to be right here. And it's one of those where I was willing to risk everything to be right, willing to, risk putting on trade after trade because I have to be right here. And it's just one of my weaknesses. I don't know, maybe it's just my personality, but it was just a real flaw that was killing me with my trading, that need to be right. And taking more than one trade was ultimately killing me. My data was saying it all. Whenever I took one trade versus days where I took more than one trade, I was so much more profitable just taking one trade a day. And that's just where looking at your data and being honest with yourself, it's super, super important. And for me, the data was just screaming at me, come on, Dan, just take one trade a day. Just give it a go for a month at least. What have you got to lose? And yeah, for me now, taking that one trade a day has just removed any option of revenge trading or over trading. I can no longer negotiate with myself saying, I'm going to take another trade now. Should I take another trade now? Is this a possible another trade? After taking a loss or after taking a win, whatever it is, having that one trade, I can't negotiate with myself anymore. If I've lost, I've lost. Take the loss, walk away, journal it, reflect on it, come back the next day. Like you just said before, there's plenty of opportunities. There is always plenty of opportunities. And for me, it just removed the over trading and the revenge trading. Because for me, in my years, only a few years that I've been live trading, when I overtrade or revenge trading, I revenge trade bad. Bad. Like I will willingly blow accounts to try and get it back. So for me, the one trade a day just solved that completely.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And also, you're not alone in that revenge trading tilt cycle. It's something a lot of traders go through. I myself was doing it really, really bad. I read The Mental Game of Trading one day, and there was a chapter describing that, and I was like, wait, other people have the exact same issue as this? And that was like sort of a revelation for me to realize that's a very common cycle that a lot of traders face. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat could relate to that. But my question to you is, do you think that one trade a day rule can work for everyone, or is it only geared towards a specific win rate?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
I think, rather than me saying a yes or no answer, I think it's for the trader listening to this right now, it's for them to try out. That's what I would say. I'm not sure if it works for everybody. And maybe for some people, they don't want to take one trade a day. Maybe it works for them. Maybe their data says that when they take a second trade, they're able to pull it back more often than they're not. So I don't know that trader's edge. I don't know that trader's data. What I would say to any for any trader who they know they overtrade. They know they revenge trade. They don't know when to get off the screen. Before they know it, they were intending to spend only an hour on the chart, but they ended up spending 4 hours, and they don't know how they did it. For these kind of traders, just experiment with it. Just commit to it for a month. Because if you can commit to it for a month and give it a go, I would be very surprised if your results were worse compared to taking 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. Like, I would be extremely surprised if your results were worse. And it's going to be a true eye-opener for you if you decide to just try one trade a day, because you're going to really begin to realize whether you are the person who does what they say they are going to do. And that's the kind of person you need to be in trading. You need to be someone who keeps honest to their word, who sticks to what they're going to do, who's, as Raphael says in the comments, discipline is everything. And, we all think with, for me, when I first came into trading, I thought I was disciplined. It's so funny. When I came into trading, I thought, I'm going to be good at trading because I am disciplined. which, I am. Like, I'm a school teacher for my full-time job, and you go into my classroom, my cupboard is all organized with labels and everything's all organized and it's all disciplined, and I expect the kids in my class to be very disciplined with the way they are. I thought I was a very disciplined person, but then trading makes you realize you are not as disciplined as you thought you are, and it's something you're going to have to continue working on even more in trading, and that's what's happened to me for sure. But it's going to be the test for you whether you can do it. And if you can't get to the end of the month without taking one trade a day, you're going to have to be very honest with yourself, and you're going to have a long look in the mirror and say to yourself, do you really want this enough? I think it's if you're a trader and you're taking 2-3 trades a day and you're super profitable, then maybe one trade a day is not something you need to explore right at this moment. But if you are struggling for profitability, or if you're break even, because I was break even sort of trader taking 2 trades a day. I had a 2 trade limit once, and I was more break even really than anything. But if you're in that sort of break even, not profitable sort of stage, just try it out for a month. Track the data, compare it to the previous month when you took 3 or 4, and I think you will be pleasantly surprised with the results.
I also do want to say, if you're taking like 100 trades a day, maybe go down to 3. You don't have to go from 100 to 1.
100 trades a day. This is one of those things, right? Oh, that's crazy, because I truly believe in decision fatigue, and but for me, I feel it on the charts, right? I feel it when I'm trading, and the more decisions I'm taking, the less sort of quality decisions I'm making. I feel myself getting mentally fatigued. I feel myself rushing into things and stuff. And if you're taking 100 trades a day, the amount of decisions, like, there is no way that 99th trade you take is as good of a decision as your first trade or your second trade. There's no way. No one could convince me on that. So, I think traders just need to be very aware that the more decisions they do make in their trading, it's going to mentally fatigue you. This is why I'm a big advocate for trading windows as well, where like you have a specific time of the day where you may look for trades or you look for opportunities, and if there's nothing, then walk away for the day. And if you're a day trader, it's different if you're a swing trader, but if you're a day trader, I like to have a specific hour. If nothing's come up within that hour, close my laptop, enjoy the rest of my evening, come back tomorrow, so I'm not sitting there trying to make more and more decisions during the day.
Yep, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I had a question here for you. I can't find it, but they were asking, what is your, there we go. What is your R to R for your one trade?
I get a lot of stick for this because I'm a negative RR trader. So, but I remember Top Step released, didn't they, data on their top traders a while ago, and they, and a lot of their top traders were negative RRs. And if you look at some of the, some of the top performing prop traders in the space, they also trade negative RR. Now, do I say negative RR is for everybody? No, not at all. Especially if you're a newbie trader, because negative RR is hard. It's really, really difficult. For me, my negative, I don't have like a fixed RR for my target. For my stop loss, I have a fixed level. That doesn't change for me, my stop loss. But my stop loss is like my emergency break. So more times than not, price will not reach my stop loss. I have in my head a level before my stop loss where if it closes below that level, I will I'll get out the trade. So stop loss for me is the emergency break, and that's where for me negative R can work, because this is why I don't recommend it for brand new traders or really struggling traders, because in my opinion, because there's loads of different opinions and views on negative RR, but for it to work, you have to be the best loser in the room. You have to be. You have to be willing to cut your trade early. You have to be. For me, that's the way you make it work. You've got to be willing to cut it before it hits your stop loss. More times than not. Sometimes it's just going to go to your stop loss. And that's right. That's what the emergency break is for. You got Trump speaking whenever it can happen, but that's what the stop loss is there for in the first place, for me. But with my targets, it varies. sometimes I'll take something ridiculous like 0.3R, and that's where people in the chat are going, oh, but sometimes that's what the market gives me, because once the market pops in my direction, I will trail my stop after a certain sort of dollar amount. I'm looking for base hits every single day. Once it reaches my base hit, I'm not closing the trade because it may pop even higher. It may just shoot up even more for me. And then I may be able to trail my stop and get, instead of 0.4R, I may get 0.8R or 0.9R. And that's just what I'm focusing on. And, it is still one trade a day. So still with negative R, one trade a day. Because I think some people think to do negative R, you need to take multiple trades to make 2R. I'm not thinking about making 2R. I'm not thinking about making 1R. I will walk away happily with a 0.4R trade for the day, take that little base hit, and then come back tomorrow and do the same thing. So yeah, that's how I trade. That's how I view R multiple for me.
Got it. Do you want to sort of get into it and show us a few examples?
Sure. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Right, okay, so if we go to, here we go. So if we go to Monday here, okay, if we go to Monday. Now, Monday is actually a really good example for why I love negative R trading, because sometimes price is not going to do what you want it to do. And let me just explain a little bit, right, behind how I actually trade. So basically, I'm trading the New York session. This is Monday's price action here. And what I'm looking at is the initial balance. So for anyone who doesn't know, the initial balance is basically price range from 9:30 till 10:30 a.m. New York time. Okay, that's what the gray lines are. The gray line is the initial balance low. So the low formed in the New York session between 9:30 and 10:30. And then the gray line is the high made in that time period from 9:30 to 10:30. The yellow line you can see on the chart is the New York VWAP. So that's like an anchored VWAP to 9:30. If anyone wants to know how to put that on their chart, it's on TradingView. It's literally one of the tools. You just click anchored VWAP. It's in your tools here, and then you just click to where you want it to be anchored to. You can anchor it to anywhere. Like I could anchor it to there, okay, randomly. But I anchor it to 9:30 because VWAP is all about volume. There's a lot of volume in the New York session, so I like anchoring it to 9:30. The lines are the initial balance retracement levels. So you've got the green line here, which is the 25% retracement level, because here it's retracing 25% into the initial balance. The purple line is 50% into the initial balance. Red line is 75% into the initial balance, and then so on. Now, the way I trade is I'm looking to trade with the trend of that session. So if we look here, I'm looking first what forms. Does the initial balance low form first or the initial balance high? Well, if we look here, you can see here the initial balance low has formed first and the initial balance high has formed second. Now, when it does that, the chances, the probabilities, because we're in trading, we're not dealing with certainties, we're dealing with probabilities. The chances that we actually break the initial balance high is actually incredibly high. The statistics are like 70 to 80%. So it's really high that once the low is formed first and the high is formed second, 70 to 80%, we're going to break that initial balance high. Pretty good odds. I'm happy to play on those sides of those odds all day long. You give me 70 to 80%, I'll take that all day long. Now, to this Monday trade, actually, as you can see here, it didn't quite, just by a little bit, didn't quite break that initial balance high, which it can happen. That's trading, isn't it? Okay, but when I was looking into the trade, so I basically enter not at 10:30. This here is 10:30 when the initial balance forms. I'm looking to trade about 10 minutes before the initial balance is actually formed. So I'm what's called front running the initial balance. So, about 10 minutes before I entered around about here, okay, on this line here. If I just draw a line here to show you guys the time, that's 10:25. So that's 10 minutes before, sorry, 5 minutes before the initial balance is formed, because I'm anticipating that it's going to do something like this, and it's going to break that, or at least go in that direction. Okay. Now, my stop loss for me is at the 75% retracement of the initial balance. So for me, if price goes lower, it breaks that New York VWAP and breaks that purple line, which is the 50% retracement of the initial balance. If it closes about here, that's where I was talking about before, being the best loser. It's where it closes there, I'm out. I will get out the trade there and I will walk away from the day. I will take my less than 1R loss and happily come back tomorrow and go again. Well, am I upset that I lose a trade? No, I was playing on the odds of 70 to 80%. So for me, I'm happy with those odds. In this case, I'm waiting for it to retrace to the 25% retracement. It does it at 10.25. I've got a limit order here, and then I'm in. And you can see here, this is why I love the VWAP, because the VWAP for me, it just forms as a very good invalidation level. And it comes and it almost kisses that VWAP, because it's crazy with VWAP how much price respects it. You can see it just here, lovely little bounce off there. You've got like a nice little bounce nearly here. And then you can see here where it's completely disrespected. And at that point, I would be out the trade if I was already in it. But I was entered in here, okay, at the 25% retracement, right about there. And then it's bounced off the VWAP. It's not closed below yet, so I'm still very, very comfortable. And as soon as we got this little pump here, that's where I'm looking to trail. I don't need it to close above the initial balance high, because what am I looking for? I'm looking for my base hit. And this is where I got out. I think I beautifully got out on this candle here, literally on the way, because it got to my base hit of $150. I then trailed the stop about 10 points behind. And if you look at that trade there was probably 0.4R. And that's where people will go, that's ridiculous. What, 0.4R? You're not going to be profitable with that. Well, I've already proven I have been with my results this year so far. And if I was looking for the initial balance high or looking for 1R, it wouldn't have been a winner today. It just would not have been a winner. So for me, that's how I trade negative RR. That's how I trade my strategy in general. And that's how I make negative RR work for me. As soon as I get that pop and then looking to trail, once it reaches my sort of base hit level. Why $150? Well, because I'm playing the prop firm games. The minimum days for most prop firms is $150. So that's what I'm aiming for on the 50K accounts anyway. So, but yeah, hope I didn't talk for too long, but that's my strategy, and that's how I trade negative RR.
No, that was well explained. Thank you for sharing that. Do you want to also go over maybe your trading calendar, and we can see how your days fall?
Calendar. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Let me open up my journal.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's change the date to this quarter. Okay, so this is the calendar so we got January. These are my trades here. January was an incredibly good month, like incredibly good month. Like went really, 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 really well. And that was just great momentum going into February, where February was just wild. Like, you look at this calendar here and there's a lot of like missing days. Well, I'm a school teacher. So for me, like there are some evenings where I just cannot trade. Like I think this Tuesday, the 10th, I do a school football, I coach a school football team after school. So we had a game, couldn't make it back on the charts in time. That's okay. Sometimes on Fridays, I just decide to take the week early. If I've had a really good week, you can see here, I've got like 3 wins. Do I need to trade the Friday? No, not necessarily. I will happily take a long weekend. It's a hard job being a school teacher and a trader at the same time. So the beauty is if I want to take a Friday off, I can do. This one here, the 16th to the 19th, I was on holiday. beauty of being a school teacher again, half term.
Mhm.
But in Abu Dhabi, where I live, it was only a 4-day holiday. So I managed to get back here and trade on the Friday. But these are just amazing results, really. And then here's the day win percentage,
Awesome.
80%, 1.73 profit factor. So really pleased with those results so far.
Awesome. Cool. And also, if you guys are watching, if it says multiple trades, it's because he is copy trading.
That's yeah. Considering it's one trade a day, but yeah,
Yes.
these are just copy traded,
Mhm.
different numbers because different amounts of accounts traded on that day, basically.
Got it.
And also
What
as well,
is?
I had to say as well, oh, sorry,
Mhm.
just before I go on, you can, because some traders here will be looking at this drop here and be like, whoa, what's gone on there? Well, after my good run in February, I decided to sort of scale up the amount of prop firms that I was copy trading. And so that's where I decided, at the end of February to buy another set of accounts to add to them. And that's where in March has been a tricky month. I think it has been for many people, but for me in particular as well. So that's why when I was taking those consecutive losing days, at times it caused a big drop here. But because obviously, when you win with those scaled up accounts, obviously you get back pretty quickly as well. So that's the reason for the big drop anyway.
Got it. Yeah, I could see your stats look awesome. What are you working on right now? What is your one improvement area?
Yeah, you know what? It's for me, it's trying to balance out. Do you want me to share my screen, by the way?
If you don't need to, you're good.
Okay. Here we go. So for me, what I'm working on at the moment is, first of all, trying to optimize my strategy even more without adding too much to it. Because I talked about decision fatigue before. And
Mhm.
the big part of the success that I've had so far this year is because my strategy is super simple. Like you just saw it in the explanation there. It is super simple the way I trade. There's not too many decisions that I need to make, which is just great for me. But I am always looking to optimize it, to improve it. I'm back testing, if NQ, which is what I trade, has the low fund first and then the high, but ES has the high fund first and then the low, which can happen at times. They can sort of,
Mhm.
do I then stay out the trades because the data says that when they're not aligned, I need to stay out. Sort of adding these sort of confidences to my system without diluting the effectiveness of my system, because sometimes you can add confidences to your system and you think you're really smart and you think you're going to improve it, and actually what you're doing is you're just adding too much to it. You're sort of taking yourself out of more winning trades and losing trades,
Mhm.
and sort of diluting your edge a little bit. So for me, that's my challenge at the moment. When I've been doing so well, especially for January and February, it's keeping that edge, constantly looking to improve, but not diluting the edge that I already have. And for me, I think at the end of March, I particularly want to do a deep dive into the price action of March, because I've struggled in March. You could see there the big drop and the big up again. March has been tough. It's been tough. I fully believe in my edge. I've got many payouts throughout 2026 so far. I should be super confident. I am super confident to some extent, but March has tested my discipline, tested my resolve, and tested my ability to stay consistent. So I want to look into sort of the price action of March in general, because it has been very choppy, and look at the edge that I have and see if there's anything I could optimize there. And the final thing I'm working on, and this is a big one for me, because over the past sort of couple of months, I think because I've been posting the multiple payouts during January and February, sort of showing proof of concept, because that's what people want at the end of the day. You can talk the talk and everything, but people want to see the payouts. They want to see the
Mhm.
results. And it's resulted in me getting more attention than I could possibly have imagined,
Mhm.
especially on X. Like the amount of followers I've gained on there, it's just been crazy during January and February, which I'm extremely grateful for. But it has formed another psychological challenge for me, where during my drawdown, I'll have many people commenting or DMing me saying, "Oh, you're doing it wrong. You should be trying this. Have you thought about this?" And some of them are just looking to hate. Some of them are actually genuinely just trying to help. Either way, it's sort of, it takes my attention away from what's been working for me, you know. And I know I've been in this game long enough now that, you know, you're going to have drawdowns of any system, you're going to have losses, but it's about staying true, staying consistent, staying disciplined, doing those drawdowns that really makes all the difference, isn't it? You know, so for me, just working on getting that balance right between social media, providing value to others through social media, but also as well, just truly staying locked in on what I'm doing and what I believe works, which for me has worked. So those are the sort of things I'm sort of working on at the moment.
Absolutely. Yep, well said. Do you want to get to some questions? Do you trade the same time every day?
Very similar. Yeah, very similar. You'll find most of my trades, what I call the IB25 level, so that 25% retracement level inside the initial balance. And because I don't want to front run it too much, I don't want to be entering it like 9:45 a.m. I mean, that's great. That's like 45 minutes before the initial balance is formed. I want price to shake out a little bit first. So for me, it's around about 10:20, 10:25, 10:30. Whenever I sort of get that retracement back inside the initial balance, whenever that is. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it'll just pop, 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 and keep going, and it'll close outside the initial balance, and that's a no trade day for me. I'm very, very clear in my head on what my no trade day is, what the day I need to just walk away, be happy with a flat day. But yeah, it's roughly about the same time, which is great for me because it just limits my time on the charts each day. Less decisions, less time on the charts, really important for me.
Absolutely. You said you moved from revenge trading and needing to be right to one trade a day. Not easy. What helped?
Honestly, the emotions after those days of revenge trading, over trading, the market just humbles you. It really does. And you either listen to what it's telling you and change, or you die. You know, in this game, you know, it's there is a big trader graveyard of people who refuse to change or did not want to change. You know, those days live long in the memory for me, where I just clicking buttons, you know, taking multiple losses and just being in despair. You know, and my wife, who's incredibly supportive, she's just been my rock throughout all of it. Anyone who's ever listened to me talk before, I always mention my wife because she is just my absolute rock for all of this. You know, just being in those days where I've overtraded and she sees the despair in my face and she comes around, puts her arm around me and says, okay, it's okay. And remembering those feelings and emotions of letting myself down, letting what I see as the family down as well, just through all these bad decisions, and just being in those, you know what, it's that moment of disgust. I think disgust is one of the biggest driving forces for change. And I think when you get to a point where you feel complete disgust in what you're doing, you will change, is my belief. And that's what it got for me. It was that feeling of disgust that made me change. Not easy for sure, especially that first month where I tried one trade a day. The temptation to just, after losing in that month and then to take another trade, it was so hard to resist. But you know, it's a question again, are you here to take it seriously, or are you here to use it as a slot machine? Trading is very easy to use as a slot machine, especially with prop firm accounts. Very easy to click buttons and buy new accounts and go again and keep blowing money. So that's what changed for me. It was the disgust.
Good. That's a really good answer. What time is the IB formed?
9:30 till 10:30 a.m. So at 10:30 a.m., that's when it's full. Basically at the end of the 10:25 a.m. candle, to be exact. So when you've got the 10:25 a.m. candle, once that's fully printed and it moves on to next candle, whatever the high or low, you know, high or low of that 10:25 a.m. candle, that will be your high or low, depending on whether you've got a bullish day or a bearish day.
Does news come out during the IB that makes you walk away or not trade?
Good question. So I remember in 2025 often getting chopped up, particularly by the 10 a.m. news. Like, so those orange folder events, you know, like pending home sales or something like that. The ISM manufacturing, I think always it just markets, not so much these days, but certainly, last year they would pop on these sort of orange folder news. So for me, just looking at my data, seeing that I was getting chopped up a lot by that sort of news, I do not take a trade before 10:05 a.m. 10:05 is the earliest I will take a trade, but that's me front running the initial balance by quite a bit. That's like by 25 minutes. I'm front running that by quite a bit. So for me, if I'm going to front run the initial balance by 10:05 a.m., I want to see a lot of conditions in my favor. Above the VWAP, low form first, high form second, ES showing the same thing, low form first, high form, form second. Maybe there's some other news of the day that's very bullish. Perhaps I'll take a trade at 10:05 a.m. and front run it, maybe with a bit of lower risk. But news for me, I stay out of it. So all that, any orange folder news at 9:45 a.m. or 10 a.m. New York time, I'm sitting at my desk here and I'm just watching. I'm just being an observer. I'm not even involved then.
What time would that be for you?
For me, it's now with the clocks changing for you guys in the States, that's so 5:30 p.m. is 9:30 a.m. New York time. So for me, it's around about 6:05 in the evening is my sort of earliest time for entry. And then by 11 a.m., I'm done. Like even if I'm in a trade by 11 a.m., if I'm in profit, I'll drag my stop to break even and I'll let it do what it wants to do. If I'm in drawdown by 11 a.m., I will get out the trade if it comes back to break even. That's very controversial for some people. They're like, why are you getting out the trade? It's going back in your favor. I'm done. 11 a.m. I'm done. Because I know if I sit on the charts and I spend long on here, I'm going to do stupid stuff. I'm very capable of that. So I have to be very strict with myself.
Awesome. Have you ever traded Asian session?
No, it's not a good time for me. Like I'd have to be up at stupid hours. I didn't get into trading to be on the charts all day. Like I said, I'm a full-time school teacher. Like I'm teaching from like 7 a.m. till 4 p.m. It's hard. So I definitely cannot be up into the late hours of the night or the early hours of the morning trading. That would just be a miserable life for me. So that's just an example of me fitting trading into my life.
Absolutely. Do you use AI tools to help you at all?
I use, or you know what? I've started recently in the past month using AI just for my journaling. So I've sort of used, ChatGPT as sort of like a AI training coach. I mean, it's nothing, anyone can use ChatGPT, it's nothing amazing. But what I will do is I will just put my journal notes that I've typed up after my session. I always make notes in my book during the session. Any emotions that come up, anything that I'm thinking, goes in here. I'll put it into my TradeZeller journal at the end of the session. And then I put all my notes into ChatGPT and I ask it to crunch what I've said and then to be a good trading coach and to give me some actionable, I always like the actionable stuff, the things that I can actually apply the next day or apply going forward long term. That's how I use AI. But other than that, in terms of like actual trading, no, basically.
Cool. Market is really tough these days. Yeah. Could be. Depends on your strategy.
It does, and that's a good point, to be fair, because I know like influencers who post like like loads of losses in a row. They get a lot of stick, a lot of stick, because maybe some guy who trades a completely different way is having a green month or green week or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm such a better trader. This person said, well, it's because your strategy is good in these conditions at the moment. No one's strategy is good 100% at the time. So yeah, it depends on your strategy, of course.
Do you use order flow?
Good question. I used to use Bookmap quite a lot. Like, and actually I love Bookmap. Like for me, like Bookmap is awesome. I love how they visually show order flow on there. And depending on your strategy, it can be very, very good. I moved away from it in 2026, coming into the new year. I used it a lot. In fact, I've used it a lot for the past couple of years before. And the reason why I removed order flow and Bookmap from my sort of trading edge was because I come back to that decision fatigue again. There were too many decisions I was needing to make. And it can be a bit subjective at times, you know.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah.
there's lots of orders below and above, and it makes me hesitant. And I like to have very fixed, so I'm quite systematic. I've got discretion to my edge, but I'm very systematic in how I work generally. Bookmap was just sort of, there was a conflict with me
It is
and
definitely very
bookmaps. That's why I
subjective.
sort of took it away.
Yeah.
For sure. But but my results in 2026, you've seen on TradeZella, that is just this quarter. So, you know, January, February, March so far, and that's without Bookmap. So, you know, it's given me confidence that I don't necessarily need it. But would I recommend somebody to look into it? Absolutely. Why not? Look into it, experiment with it, or any other order flow that you want to look
You were
into.
using it
Could be
during
useful.
your one trade a day rule?
Yes. So I
Okay.
used it doing my one trade a day rule. So I was using Bookmap still in October, November, December time of 2025. And yep.
Yeah, if it doesn't help you, then it's great to get rid of. And that goes for everyone watching. Like,
Yeah.
if there's an indicator on your chart that you're not using, just hide it and potentially remove it completely. You don't need.
And you'll find that
every-
the more you trade, the more you sort of get experience, you will find you are removing stuff away. Because I know what it's like. Anyone who is in their first year, you will take every single shiny object thrown at you and you will try it. And maybe you should try it. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing in your first year experiment. You may have listened to how I trade just now, and you're thinking to yourself, "Well, I'm going to go off and go and try that. Why not?" But you know, you will find as you gain more experience that some of the things that you thought were shiny before suddenly aren't so shiny anymore, or they just don't quite make sense to you. And you know, what I would say, just be careful with that, though, in the sense of don't just give something up because it's had 2 losses or 3 losses in a row. I've been there. I've done that. You know, I think we've all done it at some point. You've got to give something a fair shot if you are willing to give it a go, for sure.
Exactly. Yep. Let's get into the giveaway. I will let you pronounce the names.
Okay.
This is for $200 of TFD credit.
Ooh, nice. There's a lot of people for the giveaway.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Queen of Trades. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You will get an email within 24 hours. That's a nice and easy name for you.
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say it, but I was like, oh, I really hope I don't get a name I can't pronounce.
Let's see what we get.
Be like Bill, something like that. That'd be nice. Eric Lebert. Hopefully I said your surname correct. Is that French? Eric Lebert?
Sounds good.
Hopefully I've done your surname
Congratulations.
justice.
You guys will get an email within 24 hours. Do we have any more questions for Dan? Let's get some questions for Dan. I'm just going to scroll and see if I missed anything. There's a comment here. 150 often the required amount to count as a trading day for most prop firm sim performance.
Correct. That's exactly why. So like I've got Top Step accounts, for example, $150 is their minimum. That's it. That's exactly one of the reasons. Of course, straight to funded accounts. So it's you know, you still have the minimum days and stuff where you need to get $150. So they still have that, but with straight to funded, you are probably going to be well over their trading day sort of requirement. If you're not, then you're probably just oversizing on it a little bit, in my opinion. But yeah, those sort of sim funded accounts after an evaluation, yeah, that's where the $150, stacking those up day after day, especially if you're copy trading as well.
Yep. What settings do you have for revap?
Oh, good question. Well, this depends on the so the actual settings of the VWAP is open. Oh yeah, I can show. Just where is the chart? Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's if I just double click on it, it's I don't think it's on here because this is actually oh, maybe it is on here. Hold on, let me just find it. It may not be on here. Oh no, that's the initial. Hold on, sorry. Let me find it. Okay, so it's this one here. Open, high, low, close, 4. So that's the actual specific sort of setting for it. Like if you use any of these, you'll notice only really a very, 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 very small sort of difference. I mean, everyone's seeing the indicator that I used there, but you don't need this indicator. You can literally just go on to Anchored View Up, click it, and then just double click onto it, go on to inputs, go to here, source, and then you can choose open, high, low, close, 4. So it's really easy. It's the anchored view up.
Got it. Perfect.
Basically.
What should the initial balance be? What should the initial balance multiple be if you're day trading?
Initial balance multiple. I don't understand the question.
I think they're talking about extensions of IB, like 150% extension of the IB. That's what my understanding.
Well, I don't trade extensions outside the initial balance. So I suppose it depends on your strategy. Some people are extremely profitable by, letting price break out of the initial balance, waiting for it to extend a certain point, waiting for a pullback, and then taking the next leg out. For me, I'm not trading extensions out of it. In fact, once it's extended, for me, that I'm done. So it's the opposite for me. Like I'm done by then. So for me, there's no sort of extensions. Just the lines you saw, I'm just trading the 25% retracement, 50% retracement, 75% retracement. That's what those lines are that they saw before the initial balance. So I'm trading those sort of levels where I've got limit orders based on those levels to sort of take my trades.
Got it.
And that's where I have to say as well, that's another important, very important change I made to my trading in 2026. I moved from market orders to limit orders. Why? Because once again, it removes the decision. This is it again. It's that decision fatigue. I know my level. So if I know my level, I don't need to think about, oh, do I take the trade here? Do I not? Oh, do I wait a minute or two? Oh, no, I'm too late. There's none of that. There's none of that. I'm literally, limit order on a level. I'm in. Let's see how it plays out. So, yeah.
Yeah. When you said that, I was thinking, oh, he's going to switch it for better fills, but you were like, no, it's just less decision fatigue. And
yeah, awesome. For sure.
Have you ever read Trading in the Zone?
Yes. Yeah, I'm big advocate for reading. It's one of my daily disciplines every single day.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading, what's it called? I'm reading Always Free by Jason Greystone. I've listened to Jason Greystone for years. Like he's just an amazing guy for everything: financial literacy, financial freedom. He's a trader as well. He's a stock picker, top British guy. Like he's just really, really great guy who's just found a way to financially free. And I listened to him for years. So that's what I'm reading at the moment. Before that, it was the 12-week year, which I've loved that book just for organizing goals and stuff. So you can see I don't just read trading books. I read a variety of stuff that I feel are going to make me better, more rounded person. But Trading in the Zone is like absolute like staple diet of a kind of book you need to be reading. However, in my opinion, Trading in the Zone won't make much sense until you've got a bit more skin in the game. I think, once you've got a bit more skin in the game and you've almost gone through the emotions. Now, that's not me saying you need to lose loads of money and need to go through the emotions before reading the book. By all means, read the book before. But I think when you go through the emotions and then you read Trading in the Zone, you're like, man, it'll just make a bit more sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is the emergency break level based on price or based on what drawdown is?
It's based on price. So okay. I'm basing my stop loss at a initial balance level. So if I share my screen again, let me just put it up here. So basically, you can see here on the 25% retracement inside the initial balance, what I call the IB25, it's at the 75% level. Why have I put it there? Because I just want to see if price does come to the 50%, it may tap that and then it may go higher. And for me, I don't want to be just tapped, or I don't want it to wick me and then go higher, because that just sucks. So literally, I'm giving it a bit more space here. And for me, if it comes through the VWAP and all the way down here, I shouldn't be anywhere near this trade by now. I should be well out of this by now. If I'm entering on the IB50, which is here, so say I really front run it, what's that time? Is that 10 past 10? So I'll be really front running it there. Wouldn't be a bad trade in hindsight with that nice bounce off the New York VWAP. But here, if the IB50 entry is there, my stop loss would be at the initial balance low. So you can sort of see I'm leaving like 2 levels of the initial balance as a sort of stop loss. And once again, it's one of those where if it breaks below the VWAP and it closes below this level here, that's where I need to be thinking, get out, of the trade.
Got it.
So yeah, that's how I do stop loss. It's based on price levels, the initial balance levels. So once again, it's great because it's not a decision that I need to make. It's set out for me, what my stop loss will be.
Cool. I think that's pretty much it. If anyone has any final questions, get them in now. I see a few here. How much drawdown do you need at least for this performance?
Well, how much drawdown? I mean, I've got available for me 2K drawdown, because I buy 50K accounts. I don't buy the 100K or 150K. So I buy the 50K, so it's 2,000 worth of drawdown. So when I'm doing my back testing on this strategy, I'm very much keeping that in mind. When I'm experimenting with how much risk to put on trade in my back testing, I'm very much monitoring that drawdown, and that's the metric I'm looking at more closely than the win rate, more close than the profit factor. Those are great. It's a great ego boost for me. But what I'm really looking at is that drawdown metric on TradeZeller, showing me what my max drawdown is, especially in the back testing, because if I'm back testing a strategy and its drawdown is $4,000, it's like, it's not going to work, is it? So for me, I'm just using the drawdown that's given to me by the prop firms, and I'm adjusting my risk per trade based on that. I'm constantly keeping that drawdown in mind.
What percent of your trades are entries on IB50, or do you only take trades on IB25?
Ooh, proper testing me on the knowledge of my own edge here. So basically, if I remember my data in 2026 so far, it's quite a lot on IB25 so far in 2026, especially in January and February, because January and February, the markets were quite nice and they were moving pretty well for me and my edge and my strategy. And so I was often not getting the retracements back to the IB50. Like I found if I was always waiting for the IB50 for it to go there, it wouldn't go there, and it just keep going higher, and I'd miss the move outside the initial balance. So for me, I would say, if I remember correctly, it's like 70% or something, 72, 73%, something like, I don't know exactly, have been IB25. The rest have been IB50. And as a result, it's funny because when I'm taking a trade, I feel my heart just beat a little bit when I'm in the IB50 trades, because I'm not taking as many and I've not had as many wins on those. I still had wins. They're profitable, the IB50 trades still, but I haven't taken as many, on the IB50 compared to the IB25. With the IB25, as soon as that hits, I'm feeling pretty good until we break past VWAP, and then I'm thinking, I'm screwed then. I need to close, or think about closing anyway.
Yeah. What is your average tick size for stop and take profit?
It varies. It varies based on the initial balance. Am I what? Sorry?
If you want to ballpark it, just roughly.
I can't, because it varies. Like, for example, if the initial balance is very large, then my stop loss from the IB25 to the IB 75, or the 2 levels down on the initial balance, will be a lot more points compared to a day where the initial balance is tighter. And if the initial balance is tighter, that means the amount of stop in my stop loss is going to
Yep.
be much smaller. So it
Yep.
really does vary. It varies day to day.
Do you manipulate your size based on the size of the IB?
So I'm looking for a specific dollar amount to enter
Mm-hmm.
per trade. And so for me, when I'm doing, my position calculator on TradingView and I'm typing in the amount of contracts, I'm using the amount of contracts that I need for that specific
Exactly.
dollar risk. So if
Right.
I'm
Okay.
looking for, say, $350 risk,
Mm-hmm.
I will type a contract in. Oh, it's $227. No, that's not enough risk for me. 2 contracts. That's $344 risk. Okay, that's something I could do. So I'll trade with 2 contracts today. Usually at the moment, it's about 1, 2, 3 sort of micro, not
Mm-hmm.
many for 50K account, micro contracts. But once again, it varies based on the initial balance size.
Yep. How much savings do you need to go full-time trader once you're profitable?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm so glad someone's asked that, because that's literally what the book is about that I'm reading at the moment. I would say for this person, go and read that book that I'm reading at the moment, Always Free by Jason Grayson. It's a great book to read for this. But I would say savings, this for me, it's based on your sort of comfortable sort of level, right? But I would say, generally speaking, if you are in a 9 to 5 job, I would say, this is not financial advice, but this is just what I would do. And I would say 9 to 5, I would aim to have 6 to 12 months savings. That's the way you need to be looking at your savings. You need to be looking at your savings as, how much time forward can I buy? I can buy 6 months forward with no job before I've eventually got no money and need to go and get a job again. I think if you're an entrepreneur or you have your own business, I think you need 12 months savings. Sounds like quite a lot, doesn't it? But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's not the same income as it as a consistent 9 to 5. So that's my sort of opinion for me. It's like, I would want 6 months. And you know what? I'm going to be very controversial, and there's going to be a lot of people who are going to not like what I say here. But for me, you actually shouldn't be trading live in the market until you have, in my opinion, some savings, an emergency fund of some kind. And also, as well, I would say you need to have at least started having some passive investments, putting a monthly investment into a ETF, index fund, something that you set and forget, something you just add consistently to. For me, those 2 things should be the first things you should be thinking about before you even think about trading, because trading is so high risk. It's so speculative, and you can't make money from having no money in trading. I've said this before, trading is a great money accelerator, but it's not a great money generator. Like, if you've got $100 in the bank and you're looking to make trading and make it $100,000, it's just, trading is not for you at the moment. It's not. Like, you need to, I think, have that emergency fund set in place, and then even some passive investments as well. Does that mean you can't learn to trade in the meantime? No, I think you could still learn to trade. You can paper trade. You can do, most prop firms these days have practice accounts as well. You can still develop the skill, but I wouldn't put any real money on the line until you've got that sort of savings anyway. My personal opinion, though.
Yeah, it's a great answer and a good book right there. Good book recommendation. Definitely going to check that out. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for being on, Dan.
Thank you. I was flown by so quickly.
Yeah, definitely love hearing your perspective. And my biggest thing was, is it actually 1 trade a day, or sometimes is it 2? And I was so surprised to know it's always 1. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's mostly one. I've had one day this year where it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just it. And I was so gutted and disappointed with myself, massively. But that's good. I'm happy I felt like that. Some people
Yeah.
are going to feel, oh my God, he's being dramatic here, But for me, just really holding myself to that one trade a day is just it's super, super important for me.
Yep. Dan only trades MNQ, right?
Yeah, I traded ES in 2025. I made the move to NQ in 2026, and I've had lots of success with it. So it's a good love affair at the moment between me and MNQ. So I'm hoping to keep that going.
Perfect. There's a final comment if you want to get to it. I quit trading while working.
Concentrate on my investments.
Mm-hmm.
Great relief. Successful traders I know have other business efforts. Even the best traders in the past blur. You know what? Yeah, I posted this on my X social media account the other day, and it got a lot of reactions regarding, my belief that, most traders, or the best traders, they're looking to generate other sources of income. It was a study I saw where like the average millionaire has seven or eight other income streams. So what does that tell you? It tells you need to be having other income streams. For everybody has the dream of, I only need to trade to make all my money. I'm going to make $1 million a year just trading, drive my Lambo and be all happy in Dubai for the rest of my life. But the reality is trading should be seen as a great way to accelerate your money. I think there's no better way to accelerate the money that you have once you've mastered it and you've got your edge. But you've got to be looking to generate other income streams as well. And I think for many traders who decide to do mentorships or coaching or even courses, I know people have negative views on courses, but if you're a trader and you're super successful, you've got a track record and you can teach well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you look to generate income from that as well, or any other way as well? Yeah, I think it's important to have other business opportunities as well. I think as well, it just distracts you from being on the charts all day. Like it keeps you busy, but you've got to be more than your trading. You're just the guy who just sits on the charts all day and you are the trader and that's all you have going for you. You got life. I think you need to do other things and build other hobbies and other income.
Hobbies for sure is a big one. Even if it's like not another business venture, you need to do something with your day. You can't just be looking at charts all day. You're gonna go crazy.
Boring. That'd be so boring.
Yeah. But awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on. It was a pleasure. I learned a lot, and I'm sure chat learned a lot too. And we'd love to have you back on someday.
Thank you for the invite as always. Really appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, guys.